obviously a very nice spot here where we are. Really kind of the nexus of a lot of old Tempe history. So of course the Hayden House, the oldest building in the city. Charles Hayden's house. Charles Hayden, of course, the Euro-American founder of what we know today as Tempe. His flour mill just across the street, which is part of a upcoming redevelopment effort, which the city is. We're very excited about that. There'll be an important historic preservation angle to that redevelopment, and then of course the old Mill Avenue Bridge. So it's officially known as the Tempe Bridge. It quickly became known as the Old Mill Avenue Bridge when this the bridge to the right there, the northbound bridge, was put in the 1990s. All right, so we'll go ahead and cross. So this bridge dates to 1931. So you may be wondering why we're celebrating the 90th anniversary of the commemoration. Well, that's because the commemoration took place 2 years later. Not exactly sure why the delay on that, but you know, it was the Depression, the Great Depression, so that might have been part of it. Kind of taking some time to gear up for it. But the commemoration in 1933, or the dedication rather, was a very lengthy event. So we've taken some time with you this afternoon or this morning. However, in 1933, the dedication lasted 2 full days.
Wow!
So they definitely took their time with it. And if you ever look at a photograph of this area in 1933, it might give you a hint why. There just was not a lot here. Tempe was a very different town. It was a much smaller place. Arizona State University was Arizona State Teachers College at the time. The population was much lower, but still Tempe was expanding, and Mill Avenue was chosen as the spot for this bridge, which was not only a way to connect North and South Mill Avenue, but it was also a connector point across the Salt River for 3 interstate highways. So one was US 89, which was at the time was the only fully kind of north state highway. Yeah, US 89 is the only north-south highway. Then there was also US 80, which traveled east-west across the entirety of the United States, and then eventually US 60 as well. So all these highways still exist in some form, although they've been rerouted away from the Mill Avenue Bridge. So, you know, Mr. Hoffman, when he designed this bridge, he was really, designing not just a local bridge, but really, a bridge that would, appeal to a national audience of travelers and sightseers coming from many places in the United States, because at the time there just weren't that many places to be able to cross the Salt River. And in fact, this crossing, the old Mill Avenue Bridge, for a number of years was really one of the few crossings across the Salt River. So now it's Tempe Town Lake, of course, but at the time you had the Salt River, which did flow at times, and at times it flooded, and that's one of the things that the bridge had to be able to withstand, was all the flooding that occurred. And of course, while other bridges washed out, the old Mill Avenue Bridge survived, and it thrived over the decades. So we're going to walk a little bit farther up here. The plaque you're going to see it pretty soon off to your left. This bridge is really, I think as was alluded to earlier, is like many of Mr. Hoffman's designs, is really based around kind of a simple elegance. You look at this bridge and it's not flashy, but it's very beautiful, and I think there are reasons for that. And I think one of the most interesting features of the bridge, as we'll continue to walk here, you can see kind of starting off to your right there, one of these alcoves, or as Ralph Hoffman described it in an article that he wrote about the bridge shortly after it was completed. It was a rest area, and these rest areas, there's 8 of them. There's 4 on each side, and each one was designed to cater to, obviously not the automobile traveler who was driving up and down the road, but it was designed to cater to the pedestrian, to the walker. And so this is a bridge that's designed for, yes, automobile traffic, but it's also designed for pedestrians as well. Because at the time, and as it continues to be, the Mill Avenue Bridge does cater to, you know, the pedestrian as well. So I think that's an important component of the bridge that it's sometimes easy to forget when we just strictly think of it as an automobile bridge. The bridge was at the time the longest and the widest, just let's say the largest bridge in the state of Arizona. That's no longer the case, of course, but that was a significant detail to it. So people observing this in 1933, 31, 33, you know, would have been, you know, kind of marveling at the size of this bridge, because for many, they probably had not maybe seen a bridge quite this large before. So it really was a feat of engineering to be able to build a bridge this wide, to be able to build a bridge this long, especially when it was across, you know, a body of water. You'll see before we, or actually a little bit past the plaque, you'll see some of these larger plaques that were put in shortly after the bridge was built. These are actually replacement plaques to commemorate what used to be there. But I'll let you folks go ahead and just take a glance here at the plaque. We have a nice photograph of a young Mr. Ralph Hoffman there in his, I don't know the exact date on the photograph. He's a young man, probably not the state bridge engineer at the time, but probably perhaps a young draftsman in the office of the bridge division of the Arizona State Highway Department. Mr. Hoffman was not an Arizonan by birth. He was from Oklahoma, a Midwesterner. So, like a lot of people who are from this area, they're not born here. They come here, they're attracted to it by opportunities, by the weather, by a number of other things. And so Mr. Hoffman and his family, after Mr. Hoffman graduated from the University of Oklahoma in 1918, moved to Arizona, and shortly thereafter he took up a job as a draftsman in the highway department, and quickly moved up the ranks as an engineer, and eventually became the state bridge engineer. He retired in 1953. He went into started a private engineering consulting business with a partner, and then was running that business successfully until his death in 1967. So the plaque essentially gives you a little bit of information about Mr. Hoffman, kind of a brief biography, notes, you know, this design, and indicates, you know, that this was again, you know, a very sizable bridge, noting the dimensions, and then noting the connection to it as being one of the few crossings of the Salt River. Yeah, can we just have everybody turn for a group photo, please?